Also on the funding issue, this is obviously a unique period in a lot of ways. We did a state budget in a way we've never done it before. Since our state didn't have any revenues, the way we did the budget was we basically said it's dependent on what we get from the federal government. And the federal government had promised funding all along. We said whatever we get from the federal government will determine our state budget, right? Because the state has a $10 to $15 billion hole right now. And that's never been done before. It basically said, I'll tell you the state budget when I know the state budget, and the state budget is going to be a function of whatever the federal government gives us. The federal government has not funded states to date. The National Governors Association, bipartisan, headed by a chairman, Governor Hogan, Republican, I'm the vice chairman, we have said with one voice, you want the governors to do the job, we need to provide funding for state governments. There's now another piece of legislation they're talking about passing in Washington, and again, it doesn't have state and local governments in it. But if this week we're going to do a state forecast, if they exclude state government again, our state forecast will project without any federal funds. You can't spend what you don't have. If you were to allocate the shortfall relatively on a flat basis across need, you would be cutting schools 20%, local governments 20%, and hospitals 20%. And this is the worst time to do this. Now, federal government has said from day one, don't worry, we're going to provide funding to the states. Yeah, don't worry. But I'm worried because I've heard this over and over again. And my job is very simple. I have one agenda, I have one purpose. I fight for New Yorkers. That is my job. I don't have any side jobs. I don't have any other places to go, people to see. That's all I do. And I'm telling you, New Yorkers need funding for this budget because we can't do it otherwise. And look, Washington is saying what? We want to fund small business. Yeah, great. You should fund small businesses. And they want to fund financial services and large corporations and airlines and hotels. Yeah, that's all great. Fund all those businesses. But at the same time, don't forget teachers and police officers and firefighters and transit workers and healthcare workers and nursing home staff, because those are the people who I fund with the state budget. And you shouldn't make us choose between small businesses and large businesses and people who are on the front line doing the work day in and day out. I would even go a step further, and I would propose hazard pay for frontline workers. We all say, boy, they did a great job, the healthcare workers did a great job, the police, the heroes. Yes, they are. But you know what? Thanks is nice, but also recognition of their efforts and their sacrifice is also appropriate. They are the ones that are carrying us through this crisis. And this crisis is not over. And if you look at who they are and the equity and fairness of what has happened, I think any reasonable person would say we should right this wrong.